Hello everyone, I hope you are safe and well. This video is about the surprise principle. First, let's get this down. The surprise principle is an observation-driven idea. It's about the evidence. It's about a principle that guides us to select the hypothesis that best illuminates the evidence, while rejecting the hypothesis that leaves us utterly surprised in the face of the evidence, in the face of whatever observation we're trying to explain. So the surprise principle is not about whether or not some idea strikes you as unfamiliar, strange, surprising. That would be a principle of anti-logic. Imagine somebody tells you any new surprising idea that you're unfamiliar with, like evolutionary theory or atomic theory. Any new idea that's strange, immediately rejected. That would be a principle of anti-logic. What philosophy, in fact, is famous for is coming up with striking, bold, new, to the people at the time, often very strange ideas. Indeed, the two that I just mentioned, which are the core of most scientific models today, atomism, atomic theory, and evolutionary theory, both of those models go back over 2,000 years. Look that up. Democritus, Lucretius, and other philosophers, Anaximander, thousands of years ago, developed the basics of atomic theory and evolutionary theory. So to repeat, the surprise principle is an evidence-driven, evidence-based principle. It's not about whether or not you think something's weird and surprising. Okay. So this still remains abstract, so I'm going to try to toss out an example. Here we go. Imagine we go to an SEC party for commencement, and at the party is this guy, X. X is sitting there. This is the observation, okay? We observe X. X is at this party. He's drunk, and he's telling racist and sexist jokes. One of you says, hey, how do you explain this guy? I've got a hypothesis. This guy here is an underdeveloped, undereducated person who's got some severe biases, severe prejudices that they haven't really reflected on and checked. That's your hypothesis to explain who X is. Now, I'm having an off night, okay? And so I toss out this hypothesis. We'll call it H2. I say, well, I think what explains him is that he's a professor of one of the studies, women's studies or ethnic studies at USC. I think some of you at that point would even chuckle a bit. Why? Why would you find your colleague's hypothesis, H1, which is this guy's probably an underdeveloped, undereducated, prejudicial person? Why is that such a better hypothesis than H2, which was mine, which was that this guy's a professor at USC? Here's why. H1 illuminates the observation. It has explanatory power. H1 makes the observation less puzzling. H1 leaves us reduced in our puzzlement regarding this observation. Given H1, we look at the observation and say something like, oh, okay, wow, aha, that we have that aha moment. Well, that explains him. Yeah, that's really good. He's probably an underdeveloped, undereducated person. However, Pimentel's hypothesis, H2, that this guy's a USC prof, is unacceptable, is implausible. Why? Because it leaves us perplexed, utterly surprised in the face of the observation. If Pimentel's right, this would not be expected. We would not expect to observe this. Pimentel's hypothesis does not illuminate the observation. In fact, it leaves us even more perplexed than we were at first, which is a sure sign that a hypothesis is implausible and should be rejected. Think about it. The whole point of hypothesis generation and acceptance is the attempt to reduce our puzzlement, right? To try to figure things out that we're perplexed about. So once again, I hope that helps. Let me know if it doesn't. Maybe I'll generate a new idea and a new video. The surprise principle is a principle of abductive logic that guides us in selecting a competing hypothesis relative to another one, its competitor. And what we do is we accept the hypothesis that illuminates the observation, that in fact predicts the observation, the hypothesis that leads us to expect the observation. And we reject the hypothesis that leaves us utterly perplexed, utterly surprised, hence the word surprise, utterly surprised in the face of the observation. All right, well, if you want to discuss that further, send me an email. Take care now. Bye-bye.